Well, for more on what's happening in the US, we are joined now by Bruce Wolpe, Sky News contributor.
Good to be with you, Charlotte.
Thank you very much, Bruce. So Donald Trump, we know at the moment he is on holidays in Florida at one of his hotels there. He's staying there till January 3rd. Does that mean that we've got a pretty quiet week?
We do have a quiet week, but the president is very active. He is expressing himself on a lot of issues, and impeachment is one of them. And we just ought to back up for a moment as to where we are. We had impeachment in the House of Representatives last week. It was a hyper-partisan exercise. Almost every Democrat voted for impeachment. There were no Republican votes that were lost against impeachment. So the president is in a very strong position with his party. He's in a very strong position with his base. He went to Michigan and unloaded for 2 hours in front of his people in a state that he wants to win re-election in next year, because that was key in 2016. But something very unusual has happened, and we don't have much living history with impeachment. The last one was in 1999. And in 1999, after the House voted to impeach Bill Clinton, and it was more bipartisan, some Democrats voted with Republicans because they were concerned about what Clinton had done. It gets to the Senate, and the Senate leaders and all 100 senators went into a room, the old Senate chamber, and they worked out the procedures for a trial, and that trial occurred in January 1999. This year, with the hyper-partisanship we've seen in the House, people are at each other's throats. And the Democrats believe that Senate Leader McConnell is in cahoots with the White House, and they pre-cooked the trial, and nothing big is going to happen. The Democrats want to ventilate everything that they raise. So there's no agreement on what the trial is going to be. And into this, Nancy Pelosi said,
yes.
Oh, just wait a minute. I have concerns here, and I'm not going to send over the articles of impeachment until I know what this trial is going to look like. Now, I think this is very unsettling to people. Impeachment is highly unusual. I think people are, it's not normal for a president to be under impeachment. And so this is really beginning to affect the whole environment going forward.
It's up to Nancy Pelosi now to pass this on to the Senate, but she has delayed this, or she's really put the brakes on. So why do you think she has done that? What's she trying to achieve by giving herself more time?
She wants to expose what she thinks is happening, a conspiracy between the Senate leadership and the White House to kind of bury this trial. We'll have a trial, but it's not going to be a prosecution of the president, the type that the Democrats would like to have happen. But again, if you disrupt this process, you delay it, so what happens? Is the trial delayed into February or March? Does it interfere with the presidential primaries that the Democrats want to hold? But it means that there's uncertainty over the status of the president for an extended period of time. And I think a lot of people are saying, I'm not comfortable with this. So she may be looking for a short-term tactical advantage as to what the Republicans are doing. But I think if it goes on, it really will hurt the Democrats and their standing.
Yes, and we have seen that happen before with it backfiring. But I guess regardless of which side of politics you're on, it is a little bit unsettling to know that the president has been impeached, but it's not really taking to the next level. So I think everyone would want that process over and done with.
Exactly. And he tweeted this morning, we think of it in terms of domestic terms, his standing, how popular is he, but think of it in foreign policy terms. And he tweeted a couple hours ago this morning saying, I'm having a tough time doing my job because of impeachment. And so other countries, you wonder, is Putin being more aggressive on certain things? Erdogan in Turkey, because the president is weaker because of impeachment. Did China get a better deal on trade than he might have otherwise? And we'll discuss this a little bit later, but how's Kim Jong-un reading this in North Korea? So the president is complaining about how effective a job he can do if he's under this impeachment cloud. And he's right. Bill Clinton suffered the same thing. So
this is an interesting one, because if Nancy Pelosi wants to slow it down to make sure that they have the most full process possible, but then she's really on a tight timeline. Where does she go from here?
She's a very smart, astute, and cunning person, and I think she's going to run it to the limits as to what her tactical flexibility is. But at some point, this thing has got to be she has to let go and let the process take its course. And if it looks like a highly political process in the Senate, we'll make hay about that in November. So at some point, I think she will let go of the impeachment reins and let the Senate do its duty as it sees fit.
Congress comes back on January 7. Is that when we're likely to see more progress again?
Yes. There was something very interesting that I heard Senator McConnell say on Monday, just before they had adjourned, but before the Christmas holiday. And he said, well, I kind of would like to do this the same way that we did it in the Clinton trial. I had not heard that before, which means the Democrats want witnesses, and they want documents, and they want to examine the evidence. And before Monday, Senator McConnell had indicated he wasn't happy with that. That may be the first little crack here in what's going on. And the other thing that's happened is one of his Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, who has been an uncertain Republican senator for Trump over the past 3 years, said that she has problems with where her leader McConnell is on this issue. Okay. And he has a margin of 3. He has 53 senators. If he loses 3, he loses control of the rules. So
it's a fine balance.
So Congress will come back, and this will, I think, be solved within 24, 48 hours of Congress coming back.
Okay, so hot tip. I'll hold you to it.
We'll come back in January on that one.
Let's move on to North Korea now. After making some progress in the past 18 months, it seems that relationship between the US and North Korea has really stalled. Last week, it's believed the US flew 4 aircraft over the Korean Peninsula. Is that a sign of an escalating situation, or at least some form of growing distrust between the two?
I think all of that. Chairman Kim indicated over the past few months he is very frustrated with the U.S. sanctions on North Korea, which are huge and punitive, and his people are suffering. He's a dictator, and he's, completely oppressing his country. But the sanctions really bite and they really hurt, and he wants relief from the sanctions. And the U.S. wants progress on him removing his nuclear weapons. He has not even compiled an inventory of what he has in the country, and there's been no agreement on any roadmap to reduce the nuclear weapons. So it's a deadlock after 3 summits, and the last summit collapsed. They tried a deal. Trump wouldn't accept it. It's going nowhere. Trump still touts the relationship. So what Kim has said is, if I don't have progress by New Year's Eve, well, we could have a little Christmas surprise.
Yeah, what is that? Well, obviously, we don't know, but we're waiting to find out what that is.
President Trump was asked about this in Florida yesterday, and he says, oh, maybe he's going to send me a vase.
Oh.
A nice vase. and
hey, don't hold your breath.
It could have a nuclear weapon inside of it.
Oh, hopefully not.
People are looking at 2 things. The test of an intercontinental ballistic missile, which would show a capacity to deliver a nuclear warhead to the United States, which would be a pretty serious matter, or a nuclear test of a new proportion, which would also be a serious matter. In any of so the U.S. is monitoring this on an hourly basis, and they did send 4 spy planes over the peninsula to check what's going on. And in previous times, there have been eyeballs on launch sites for North Korean missiles and questions as to whether they can disrupt the launch, take out the site, and so forth. So that's all. So we could be in this very nice post-Christmas mood we have today to being on the brink in 24 hours, 48 hours, who knows, New Year's Eve.
Well, either way, it's delayed because we're, well past Christmas Day now.
We are well past Christmas Day.
Belated Christmas gift.
It's true, but it'd be difficult for Kim to back down suddenly and not do anything. That means that he's bluffing. And if anything, Trump knows it's a bluffer, and he would say, "I've got you."
Yeah.
So I think everyone is quite concerned that something will happen, and then the question is where it goes from here.
Just finally, we did see some rapid movement in that relationship between North Korea and the US, and there was starting to be some progress, and now it does seem to have stalled. 2020 will be an interesting year because it's the election year. Will that mean that the focus will be less so on mending that relationship?
Trump would love to mend the relationship and deliver a deal with North Korea, and he takes it to the election. There's been a raging debate inside the U.S. intelligence community. Is Kim really serious about giving up his nuclear weapons? Most people, including John Bolton, the national security advisor who left in frustration in August, say no, he doesn't want to give up his nuclear weapons ever. And Kim is playing Trump, who's playing to his ego, and he loves strong leaders around the world, from Putin to the head of Saudi Arabia to Kim. That Kim is playing to that and saying, yes, I'll do rope-a-dope with you, but I'm not going to give up my weapons. So this is really a moment of truth as to whether this situation can be solved, and that will determine a lot, not only for peace and security in the world, but Donald Trump's political fortunes as well next year.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on it. Thanks for the update there, Bruce.
On that one yet.
Okay.